The year was 1958. The space race was on. The United States, locked in a fierce rivalry with the Soviet Union, looked to the heavens with a mixture of ambition and trepidation. The Soviets had already launched Sputnik, the first artificial satellite, into orbit. The Americans were playing catch-up. Then, from their depths of the Cold War, a plan emerged. Audacious and terrifying in equal measure, the United States would detonate a nuclear bomb on the moon. This was not the stuff of science fiction. It was a real proposal conceived in the halls of power and on the drawing boards of scientists. The idea, as outlandish as it seems today, was seriously considered by the US government. It was a time of high tension, where the boundaries of scientific exploration blurred with the imperatives of military posturing. Project A119, as it was officially known, was a top-secret study commissioned by the United States Air Force. Its objective was simple, yet daunting, to assess the feasibility and potential benefits of detonating a nuclear device on the moon. The project was shrouded in secrecy, hidden from public view and even from many within the government itself.
The plan called for launching a rocket carrying a nuclear warhead towards the moon. The target was to be the lunar terminator, the line between the light and dark sides of the moon. The explosion, it was believed, would be visible from Earth with the naked eye, a blinding flash of light and power meant to demonstrate America's technological prowess to the world.
The motivations behind Project A119 were twofold. On the one hand, there was a genuine scientific curiosity. Scientists at the time knew relatively little about the moon's composition and structure. A nuclear explosion, they reasoned, could provide valuable data about the lunar surface and interior. The blast would eject lunar material into space, which could then be analyzed to learn more about our celestial neighbor.
On the other hand, the project was deeply intertwined with the geopolitical realities of the Cold War. The US was desperate to surpass the Soviet Union in the space race. A successful nuclear detonation on the moon, it was believed, would be a propaganda coup, a display of American might that would demoralize the Soviets and inspire awe in the rest of the world.
Fortunately for the moon and for humanity as a whole, Project A119 was never carried out. The plan was ultimately scrapped in 1959 due to a combination of factors.
One major concern was the potential for negative public reaction. While some within the government believed that a lunar nuclear explosion would be met with awe and admiration, others feared a backlash. The image of the US intentionally bombing the moon, even in the name of science, could easily backfire, portraying the country as reckless and trigger-happy.
More importantly, the scientific community began to raise serious concerns about the potential consequences of detonating a nuclear device on the moon. There were fears that the blast could contaminate the lunar surface with radioactive material, jeopardizing future exploration efforts.
Moreover, the long-term effects of such an explosion on the moon's environment and on Earth's own ecosystem were unknown and potentially catastrophic.
Had Project A119 been carried out, the consequences could have been profound. The blast would have created a massive crater on the lunar surface, visible from Earth as a dark blemish on the face of the moon.
The explosion would have released a significant amount of radiation into space, potentially damaging satellites and posing a hazard to future astronauts.
Moreover, the detonation of a nuclear weapon on the moon would have had far-reaching geopolitical ramifications. It would have set a dangerous precedent, normalizing the militarization of space and potentially triggering an arms race in orbit.
The world, already on edge due to the Cold War, could have been pushed closer to the brink of nuclear annihilation. Interestingly, the United States was not the only nation to contemplate the idea of nuking the moon. The Soviet Union, not to be outdone in the realm of audacious space exploration, also had a similar project in the works.
While details remain scarce, it is believed that the Soviet plan involved detonating a nuclear device on the far side of the moon, perhaps as a show of force or as a way of testing their own nuclear capabilities.
Like its American counterpart, the Soviet plan was ultimately abandoned, likely due to similar concerns about potential consequences and the risks of escalating the Cold War.
The fact that both superpowers independently considered such a drastic measure speaks volumes about the climate of fear and paranoia that gripped the world during this era.